Welcome to episode 9 of the Vox Chatter Podcast, a podcast series where we discuss everything Warhammer 40k related with a focus on fun and casual play. I am Cam Tillery, and tonight I am joined by Brett Smith.
Hello.
Kyle Knox.
Hello.
And Joel Collins.
Hello.
Every episode we start by discussing a main topic, usually an aspect of the hobby we thought that would be interesting or fun to talk about. Tonight's topic is going to be, should HQ units be limited to 1 per detachment, brought about by the whole new Tower Commander rule. After that, we'll talk briefly about some of the new and upcoming releases, including the recently announced Forgebane box set. So, on to the main topic. Should HQ units be limited to 1 per detachment?
Yes. That was easy. Well, glad I got that off my chest.
So obviously this has been brought about by the new match play rule for Tower Battlesuit Commanders, which I would just like to say to everyone who has gone and watched my new First Look Tower Codex video, thank you very much for taking the time to watch it. I enjoyed making it and it's been great to see how well it's been doing on the channel. So I'll definitely be making future First Look videos for the other upcoming codexes, and you should definitely go check those out.
Plug.
But yeah, so the new match play ruling for Tower Battlesuit Commanders is being that you're only allowed to have 1 per detachment, and this was basically a new rule brought in by Games Workshop in order to answer the commander spam issue that was happening in the tournament metas. And we thought it'd be interesting to actually see what our thoughts were on bringing that rule in as a new beta rule for all armies and applying it to a 1 limit per unit type.
Yeah, it just seemed weird how they decided to go about the commander spam nerf by attacking that one codex rather than addressing
Because it's the newest one, isn't it?
across the board. You know, I don't know.
Because
the
commander
newest
spam didn't happen across the board as much as in Tau.
Yeah.
That was the only real time you could play.
Well, I think the main issue of it was the commander spam in Tau. It was the army.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a few notable exceptions in recent releases, but typically most armies that are spamming, it's not been literally all the armies made of, there's just been a lot of them because you're capable of spamming them.
Yeah.
But the Tower Commander spam was literally your army was just battlesuits and their battlesuit commanders and their drones.
Which is why I think to then say a beta rule should hit every single codex. And what you're doing, right? So the Tau one affects 1 of their HQ choices. You can spam as many ethereals as you see fit. You can have 10 ethereals in one detachment. Well, you can't, but you could have all 3 of your battalion detachment HQ choices as ethereals. You just can't have 3 commander battlesuits. You can take a Supreme Command detachment of 3 ethereals if you wanted to. I'm using ethereals because I don't know any other HQ option. But it isn't Fireblade. You can take 3 Fireblades. It isn't saying 1 HQ choice per detachment. Unit. It's saying 1 commander because no, you can't just run an army of commanders.
Yeah, 'cause it's bullshit.
And no other army did it. So I think to extend it, because what you're doing is, well, not you, because obviously
The premise of what we're
the premises of what you're considering here is going, right, 1 army ran 1 unit, which Games Workshop has said no to. So what we'll do is we'll extend it to not just 1 unit.
No, we're not saying to extend it all. We're saying, is it worth looking at doing something like that?
I think the only way you could do it...
Not that they should have done it straight away and just
no.
went, oh my god, Tau do this, let's just shut it down for everybody. Yeah. Saying, is it worth looking at that being a potential thing?
But I think the only way you could do it and keep it in line with what we've done with the commander is if you selected 1 HQ from each army. Because otherwise, by going full 1 HQ per detachment, like 1 HQ choice, no duplicates of HQ.
We're basically making all HQ units be a 0 to 1 per detachment.
That is a big change, though, and it's a big change which is unnecessary.
Do you know what it's comparable to? It's when they introduced like the Lord of War category, and they made like Calgar and all the chapter masters Lords of War.
Yeah. Why is it? Why? I don't see why it's a bad thing, because instead of looking at your codex and going, right, a captain's what I want, bang, I'm going to have 4 captains because I'm going to have 4 Space Marine detachments. I'm just going to have 4 captains because they're the best.
But you could have 4 Space Marine detachments and run 4 captains.
Yes, you
because
can.
Just have one
Yes, which is fine.
You can do that, but then you're penalising yourself on command points typically because you're probably breaking down into things like Vanguard detachments, multiple of.
But you're saying you can't run your 3 troops and then just have your 2 captains that you want to fill your army with and get 3 command points and you just run the 2 captains. A lot of armies it wouldn't bother. It wouldn't bother most armies, to be fair. But it stops you going, you know what, that Supreme Command Detachment, I'm going to just fill it with 5 Hive Tyrants, 5 Demon Princes. You know, it's
weird how a lot of grief in the army list building in the tournament metas and stuff is the existence of the Supreme Command Detachment. You know, that's one of the things that seems to cause a lot of the spam issues. So this is a way of amending that without removing the Supreme Command Detachment as an option for army building.
Supreme Command. So let's go theme wise. So and we'll go with Space Marines because that's what most people play. Your Supreme Command would be your captain, probably then with a lieutenant,
and then a
librarian, a chaplain, right? So that would be your typical command structure of Space Marines, not 4 captains from 4 different companies, not leading a tactical squad of Marines each. You know what I mean? Like, each guy's not going to bring 2 5-man squads with him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it also then means that you can have units like what the lieutenant's got for the Space Marines. Why at the minute you've got a lieutenant which is a 0-2. You can take 2 lieutenants for 1 HQ slot.
Yeah.
If you can take 2 lieutenants as just 2 separate characters to fill 2 slots.
1 slot.
No, but you're saying if you could just take them as 2 to fill 2 slots.
So you take your battalion, you just go 2 lieutenants, 3 troops.
Mm-hmm.
If you only had the option of taking 1 lieutenant option from the book, you could still have your 2 lieutenants, but they would only come under 1 unit entry.
Yeah.
So they could do that then for more secondary characters, if you get what I mean. Like your captain's your main guy. Your secondary characters, they could go. You can take 0-2 of these as 1 slot.
It'd be like guard equivalent, HQ, 1 company commander. If platoon commanders were a HQ option, but you could have 2 for 1 HQ option.
Yeah.
Then you've got a company commander and 2 platoon officers.
Well, that means I'm rewriting all the codexes.
It doesn't. It means that when they're moving forward.
Huge FAQ.
No, it doesn't. All they have to do is introduce 1 rule, like they've done with the Smite beta. They've done with the character targeting rule.
Put it in chapter proof.
Yeah. If they said you can only take 1 commander.
1 copy of a HQ.
How would it affect? We'll go around the table. How would it affect your guard, Hillary?
So I have 3 company commanders currently in the brigade. But all I do is rejig it because my Primus Psyker moves from the Vanguard to the brigade, swaps with 1 of the company commanders.
Yeah.
And my Lehman Russ tank commander moves to the brigade, and the 3rd company commander moves to the spearhead.
So
I still have 3 company commanders. My army hasn't changed.
But each commander's brought his company with him.
Yeah.
So therefore your army would not change, and you haven't spammed the commanders at all. You've got 3 commanders.
He's still spammed the commanders. He's
but
still spammed them the exact amount as he had.
Yes.
As he had.
But previously, I could have written the list to include 4 or 5 commanders, or 6. Now, I would have to rejig the army and break down into more detachments to get any more than 3 if I wanted them.
Let's keep asking people about.
So Joel?
Mine not all. I run, in this army I'm currently looking at building, I run 1 captain, and Cronus, and Chief Librarian Tigris. So I've got literally 1 of each, leading the respective things. In my other lists, I only really run 1-ofs. My primaries list, I run 1 primaries captain and Gulliman, but it won't really affect me.
My Minotaurs, I run 1 captain and 2 to 3 lieutenants, so that'd have to change a bit.
You'd have to change your lieutenants.
Well, the lieutenants would drop into the slot of 2.
Yeah, and then you'd have to.
But I'd lose a command point.
You'd probably, wouldn't you just change 1 to like a company ancient with a banner instead?
They're elites.
Oh,
a chaplain, primary's chaplain,
And then, it's just
librarian,
reroll points, that's all. But my Eldar, is 1 Autark, 1 Farseer, 3 Warlocks. Wouldn't affect it. So all on yourself, you are running.
Right, it won't affect my army, which is why I don't see why they'd do it.
But what it's saying is, so it isn't going to affect a lot of armies that aren't typically spamming anything. None of us are spamming any one thing. He's only got 3 company commanders because he's guard, and you have that many guard. You could see
Like,
that.
whenever you see or play against my guard, does it feel like I have a spammed ridiculous amount of commanders?
No, I'm not saying that it does. That's
But
not
what I'm
my-
saying
We'll
is,
say, yeah, we'll say.
he
say
wrote a demon prince, he's wrote a demon army that he said he'd like to bring to a table, which is 10 demon princes. It's 2 detachments of 10 demon princes. He physically couldn't do that.
What we think, because we think this would be alright as an idea, Kyle, because it doesn't literally stop people from taking more than one of something. People can take more than one of something.
Oh no, I'm not
But it
saying.
stops people from
my-
taking like 6 of something.
Yeah, but my argument isn't that it would stop people taking more than one. It's not that I think it's unfair or anything.
Why should the Tower Commander not be able to play his 10 Tower Commanders, but the
Custodians-
Hive Tyrant player can play 10 Hive Tyrants?
Custodians can go
The Custodes can run 10 Shield Captains on bikes. The Demon player can run his 10 Demon Princes.
Yeah, but it's just GW doing what it's been doing this whole edition. It's reacting to what people use as a meta.
Yeah, but again, that's unfair. So
What?
so that's like you 3 crying at me, Brett, we don't like you playing your Eldar, and me having to go, yeah, but I really want to do that. No, but us the other 3 players don't like your Eldar army.
We're
We'd like you
going to
to
ban Wave Serpents, but
we'd like you to back it up and never play with it because we don't want you to use
They
it.
haven't banned
But-
commanders.
But that's
No.
but because the other 3 people
Have cried
haven't
enough.
complained, haven't cried enough about you playing Orcs or him playing Guard or Joe playing Ultramarines, you're fine. It's just you 3 shouted louder, so my stuff gets banned.
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of like.
So then what happens next? The Tower one gets banned, so then everyone shouts out about the next thing, so then they stop that. I get that they're wanting to keep the meta changing, but it seems a spotlight effect, if you get me. The spotlight's on that, we'll deal with that. Now when the spotlight's on something else, we'll deal with that. You know what I mean? It's not...
Like, so for example, Kyle.
And not just for the channel's sake, none of us here play 10 Tower Commander battle suits or anything closer. I'm the only Tower player. I own 2 Tower Commanders. One's a Cold Star conversion from years ago. One's the newer type model. And I only ever really play with 1 commander. Sometimes I get the other one out. None of us play 10 Demon Princes or anything. It's just the sense of what...
It's the community at large.
Yeah.
I've put together a quick shortlist, Kyle, of some of like the worst offenders for units being essentially spammed and like some of the various bad effects they have. So the one that started all this was Tower Battlesuit Commanders pre-codex, so index versions.
Yeah.
And that was, they were getting spammed because of abusive use of the character targeting rule. Basically going like, you can only target each of my guys in sequence, you can't pick whatever you want to fire
And
at.
the fact that a normal battle suit...
That word.
Well, you could take 2 battle suits, okay? You could take 2 battle suits for the price of 1 Tower Commander battle suit with no gear, but your Tower Commander battle suit has ballistic skill 2+, and can have 4 weapon systems.
Basically, with Games Workshop going, well, we've wanged up the points on your normal unit, so here's a bit of a cheaper HQ, but then tournament players are basically like, oh, well, I don't technically need those battle suits, I'm just going to abuse the fact that you load the points on these. So Games Workshop's basically been like, well, no, that's not what we intended you to do, so we're going to take that away from you. That's basically all they're doing.
To me, it comes down to that word that Hillary used to describe it.
Bullshit.
People were abusing it.
Yeah.
That's what they're not reacting to a meta. They're reacting to people abusing stuff, which
So
is
shut
why you got the smite beta rule,
Well,
because
so
it was everyone abused it.
Next one I was going to say was Primus Psychers pre-smite nerf. Did you see the lists that included like 12 Primus Psychers?
Yes.
Gullman and then 6 Storm Ravens, yeah, I saw them.
Now again, that's...
But that wasn't just Primaris Psychers. That
No.
was Tyranid Smite spam.
Yeah,
that
Tyranid
was
Smite
Thousand
spam.
Sun Smite spam.
but
That was Orc Smite spam, which we haven't managed to nerf just due to how they were at the moment in the index.
did you not see like the Guard of the worst example?
Garden were first codex when we were dominating the tournament scene without Smite spam.
But they also did it with Smite Spam when it was a thing. They were the ones. It was either basically them or Chaos using the like rogue psyker guy, whatever he's called. And like lists used to be like, I have 3 Supreme Command attachments that are 3 sets of 5 Primus Psychers.
Which then brings into it, if they brought in the only 1 HQ per detachment type, and say they didn't then nerf spam, nerf smite, you couldn't take 15 Primus Psychers. How many attachments you got? 3 guard detachments, you can only have 3 Primus Psychers.
They reacted to that by doing, the reason they reacted to that one, doing a across the board rule rather than going, you can't run 15 Primus Psychers, was because every army was doing it.
Well, every army can run 15 commands.
So I've just listed Tau, basically Imperial Guard / Imperial Soup, because that's where a lot of the Primus Psychers were showing up.
Which wasn't happening anymore because of the Smite nerf, so that can go off the list.
Yeah, so those are the first 2 that I've said because they were the ones that were pre-amended, right? Then the new one, right, the one that basically invalidates an entire codex because you don't bother taking anything else, Shield Captains on jet bikes.
Basically codex, Shield Captains on jet bikes.
I think they're going to do something in an FAQ because I feel like that was an oversight on their
But
part.
again, why address just each codex when they feel that they're messing up with the codex's HQs and just not go...
Everything.
1 commander per detachment, 1 of 1 type per detachment.
Look how much the Smite rule, as a general wide rule, fixed Smite across several armies.
Mm-hmm.
So you've instantly fixed the custode problem by going 1 Shield Captain on bike per detachment, because you then can't just go, I'm going to ally 3 Shield Captains on bike in any Imperium army. I can only pick 1 Shield Captain on bike in that detachment.
So you should be able
So then I have to then bring 3 detachments of custodes to get my 3 Shield Captains, which then I run in a custode army. Or I only bring 1 Shield Captain on bike. You've solved that problem. You'd have solved the primary Psyker problem because you couldn't have just taken 1 Supreme Command of 5 Primaris Psychers and added it into any Imperium army. You could have had 1 Primaris Psyker. You've solved the Tau Commander Battlesuit problem, and you're also addressing future codexes. What's to say that they don't release a Khorne Berserker Codex and the Khorne Demon Prince is absolute filth, and someone goes, why do I need all the rest of the units in this codex when I can just take 9 Demon Princes, which each fight twice in combat, they've all got wings so I can get turn 1 charge. You know, you're stopping any future stupid little HQs coming out.
If they nip it in the bud now, they don't have to go back and do it again.
Yeah, they can make decent commanders that you realistically, depending how you build your army, like a Space Marine army, depending how you build it, you're not really pushing out of 3 formations, are you?
No, but...
So then you've only got 3 of that type of commander.
The next one of key one was Codex Grandmasters in Baby Carriers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Grandmaster in Dread Knight.
Well, the thing so far in those lists is everything you've listed has been high power level.
Well, yeah.
But in the HQ section. But you want your commander to be high powered. You want your commander to be doing stuff on the board.
To be badass.
Right. Say Chaos Orcs, Codex Orcs comes out.
Yeah.
You're gonna want your war boss needs to be the biggest, baddest orc in your book because it's a war boss. Yeah, by the nature of orcs, he does.
Alright, his power level still will be nowhere near a baby carrier Grey Knight.
And then just to round out that list, the other things on there were Guard Company Commanders, which we've already talked about, Talon Masters and Land Speeders,
Maven Wing,
Demon Princes talked about, and Hive Tyrants. And like, you know, they're just the worst offenders. You know, there'll be other things in books I've not thought of. That was just a list that came off the top of my head.
and it's again, if you wanted to play a fair game amongst friends, like James runs 3 Hive Tyrants. He runs 3 detachments in his army.
So we could do it anyway.
So he could do it anyway. And each Hive Tyrant would have a section of an army under him.
Do you know what the last Tyranid army was I heard talked about in another podcast, where he just bought it all to take to a tournament that weekend? 7 Hive Tyrants and 5 Morlocks. That was his army.
You can do that anyway. So like, if I wanted to abuse company commanders,
Yeah.
what's your cheapest elite's choice?
Platoon Commander,
Which is how many points?
20.
So I take company commander, 3 platoon commanders, company commander, 3 platoon commanders, company commander, 3 platoon commanders, company commander, 3 platoon commanders. Your fix doesn't fix it because you just go Vanguard detachment, fill it with them. Vanguard detachment.
What you're actually doing is you're now spending 180 points to take the same 90 points of free commanders.
There might be one detachment though that we're all forgetting about.
Which one?
Patrol.
You get no command points.
Yeah, so your army plays with no command points, but you can have your 15 hive tyrants.
You can't spam it. You can't do the thing of 1 per detachment because of how the detachments are put up.
I don't see why not.
But then you can do that with Tau. You can still play your 10 Tau battlesuit commander list, you just have no command points. And wow.
You have 3 because you...
I have 3, so I lose 2. So I lose 2 command points, but I can still play my Tau army. Yeah. So how's it nerfed? How's that nerfed Tau?
I'm not saying it's nerfed. It might even...
No, but what I'm saying is...
I'm saying the fix is unnecessary.
Yeah, no, but you're saying Games Workshop have done the rule of 1 commander per detachment to nerf the Tau army, the battlesuit army, but they haven't.
That's what they're trying to do.
No, so for example, that Tyranid army I just mentioned, that rocked up I think with 7 command points. With our fix, that rocks up with 3 command points. You can still play the army. You've now penalised them for taking that build though, by removing 4 command points from them.
Yeah, so they can't just go, I'm just going to mash
So
up all these...
you're right, you can still rock up with the army if you want, but there's some level of you're being penalised for taking literally that kind of extreme spam.
And we're not wanting to say to anybody, if someone wants to buy 10 hive tyrants or play a 10 hive tyrant list and that's the way that they want to enjoy the game, fine, let them do that, but don't reward that player for doing that. So you build a balanced army, which you read the narrative, you read the books, you've got a green tide army, which is how orcs play, it's themed. We've all got themed armies in different ways. Why should somebody be rewarded just as much as I am for bringing a completely broken list when you're trying to be a balanced player?
Now, the point I'd like to make is that, like we said, it is perfectly fine for anyone to want to play like that. That is fine if they want to play those armies, bring that army, if they want to play that kind of power level for tournaments. I'm not saying, if you're going to go to a tournament, you want to take the best thing, you want to play to win, sort of thing. So this has all been brought up, not because we think, as a group of individuals, our player group, it's not because we think this is how people should play 40k. The point is, Games Workshop has now set a precedent by they themselves are stating making this rule for 1 unit for 1 army. The question we're sort of really raising is, should it be that 1 unit in 1 army gets penalised like this, or should it be universal? We're not saying that people shouldn't get to play like that, how they want to play.
But then why not just penalise with 1 unit so it gets spammed?
Because then people will spam other things.
Because like I said, then you get the spotlight effect. So then what happens when Riptides get spammed? Do you then make Riptides crap? Do you then...
They haven't made with commanders crap, they've just said you can't take 20 of them as a...
But that's made the army good.
Yeah, but that's made the 20-man army crap, because it's not legal.
So that guy that's gone out there and bought to go to tournaments because he enjoys going to tournaments and wanted to play with his 10 Tau commander army now gets penalised, whereas his best mate who he goes to tournaments with who went out and bought 10 hive tyrants or 7 hive tyrants and 5 Barlocks couldn't just be like, oh, that's unlucky for you. I hope when the next chapter of Proof comes out, I don't have my army banned.
Yeah, so I think it might, listening to us discuss it might come across a bit like, we hate spam, we want it gone, blah 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 blah. That's not the intention. The point is that Games Workshop set this weird precedent now by they're dictating what is considered spam and what isn't.
I just think everything that's being named, other than the company commanders, is all of a spam of a certain power level. It's all overly good stuff anyway, which people are throwing into a super heavy detachment to get an army of really tough stuff on the table, which goes without saying. So why don't you just do it of you can only have 0 to 1 of a HQ choice of power level X and above.
You're still tying people into a way of building your army.
You couldn't have 2 Bloodthirsters per detachment, but you could have 2 Chaos Lords per detachment. It's adding too many layers to it, I think, then.
You're making it
But 2 Chaos Lords is nowhere near as harsh as 2 Bloodthirsters.
You're right.
But what I'm trying to say is, why? So then all you're trying to say is you're trying to pick the units that are spammed to limit them, but let the other. I'm just saying, put it across the board. Don't. Then you're just putting that across the board.
But you're still forcing people to build a list the way you think a list should be built, because you're saying you need to run more detachments.
I'm saying a list should be built more towards a bit of narrative, and I get there's narrative, play, match, play, and what have you, but realistically, when you sit down and you think Warhammer 40k, do you instantly think of a battle scene or whatever where there is that many of a commander of any type, any level, in that level of skirmish area at 2,000 points? Does that ever cross your mind? Do you ever think, ooh, when I think of orcs fighting space marines, I instantly think of 5 captains fighting 5 orc war bosses? So the way I'm saying...
Dark Eldar, I can't run a brigade because I don't have enough HQ.
No, you do. You've got homunculus, which...
Oh yeah, sorry, I have to run one of each HQ.
So you... Right.
And plus...
Tau have 3 HQ.
Plus,
Right? So now, Games Workshop have said, so for me to run a brigade, I can only have a commander, and I have to have... I'm going to be playing Farsight Enclave.
Yeah.
Right? I can't have ethereals in my army. So Games Workshop has now told me I can only have either Fireblades as my commanders, or one commander, one Fireblade if I want to run a battalion. That's what Games Workshop have told me how I have got to build my army. Why is that fair? And if that's the restriction you're putting on people wanting to stop spamming, why are you restricting one army? Why not do that to every army?
They're not making everyone do something that's unfair. They're making everyone do something that is fair, but they're making it something that not everyone would like. There's a difference.
And you're doing it to an army which doesn't even have that many HQ options. Take Eldar, who've got Warlocks, Farses, Spiritses, and Autarchs.
Plus, you then get into the issue that in all these codexes, Warboss in Mega Armor and Warboss on Bike are 3 different entries.
Yeah.
Alright, fair enough.
Like, that's the issue you have to consider.
Autarch with wings, Autarch without wings.
Yeah, Space Marine Captains. 4 different entries. Space Marine Captains.
So that's the other one that you've got to see. If it's keyword commander...
If it was keyword, it'd work, because then you could just go one of everything with keyword commander.
Yes. And
then you pick one entry per army which has keyword commander.
Yeah, so what I'm saying...
That's more restrictive than
that's more restrictive than what we're saying.
Because then you're limiting yourself to one Warboss. We're saying you could take a Warboss, a Mega Armored Warboss, and a Bike Warboss in one detachment.
Your way of doing it is one HQ slot, like one HQ choice. I'll just get around it. I'll just put one in Mega Armor, one on it, not a Mega Armor. There's still 2 war bosses leading my detachment.
They run differently.
Yeah, you're already changing the dynamic of the army slightly.
It's not like you can...
I mean, it's not a huge change, but it's a change.
Okay, so let's do that with shield captains. You can have... The spam is shield captains on bikes, because shield captains on bikes piss over everything else in that book. My restriction says you can have a shield captain on foot and a shield captain on bike in one detachment. Shield captain people don't want shield captains on... They're not spamming shield captains on foot because they're a balanced unit. That's all I'm trying to say. They've been...
Yeah, it's the unevenness of it that's my issue with it.
It's literally make it flat.
It's combat effectiveness is almost not important.
But the other argument is to it, I don't understand why they've done it then, if you've got the access to the patrol detachment. Because if you really want to take your command points up, you take a commander, 3 units of 5 fire warriors that sit at the back doing nothing. Alright, that's been your tax because you've had to buy 3 units of 5 fire warriors. And then you've taken, so that's your 6 command points that you'd have had anyway from running your 3 different supreme commands.
Can I take drone units, which would be cheaper?
They're not troops.
They're not
No,
troops.
they're not. I'll take 5 fire warriors.
That's my tax though. I'm having to spend, I'm having to spend 180 points, which is a Tau commander in battle suit.
So you can run 19, not 20. Oh.
Yeah, well, 10 instead of 11, I think.
Yeah, so...
But the drones have gone up. So each commander came with 2 drones. So you had 22 drones, so you've gone up 80 points. Then you've added the fire warrior tax in, so you've gone up another, what did I say?
180, I think you said.
Yeah, 180, plus your drone tax of 80, so you've gone up 260. So you're down 2 commanders.
Yeah, you're down 2 commanders already.
If you wanted to add the fire warriors, like by adding the fire warriors in to get your command points back up to then take the patrol detachment, So
I'm running 9 instead of 11.
No, sorry, patrol detachment, you've got to have 1 troops
There you
to
go.
get no command points.
Yeah, there you go.
So for every commander, he brings a
Auxiliary.
squad of men with him.
But then it just seems pointless though, because if you can still, if they've raised
But
the
it's
points
making
for
that
everyone,
commander 60 points more expensive because he's got to come with 5
Kyle,
fireworks.
do you know that I'd absolutely just make the custode one never exist because the standard custode squad's 200 and odd points. 1,000 points for 6 guys on bike. So you need how many more points? Lots more to be able to run that. An army doesn't exist.
So you want to run the 7 hive tyrants and the 5 Farmagants? Yeah, you've got to bring the
Morlocks.
Morlocks. You've then got to bring a load of your troops with you. In any of this scenario, you are getting taxed by having to bring another squad with you. That's what that would do. It would tax you with another squad. So yes, you can run your 10 battlesuit commanders, but you've got to bring 50 fire warriors with you.
Yeah, it does work if you look at it that way.
You know what I mean? And now because you've got 50 fire warriors with you, you're not on 10 commanders. You're down to like 7 commanders, and therefore the spam is less.
Well, I just don't. I think my problem with it is the whole thing feels like a punishment for that army.
It very much does so.
But then I don't see why the punishment should be rolled out to people whose armies weren't doing that.
Because if your army's not doing that, then what's your punishment?
Because it punishes punishes you across the board. Because I'm not running an army spamming a HQ. My army isn't pure HQ, but now I can't run more than 1 in each detachment. Then you'd have to FAQ it, wouldn't you? So
but this is why I'm trying to say. If you brought out that beta rule, having to FAQ every little book that they'll bring out and stuff, they just go, right, this is the plateau for everything, flat Earth thing again.
Because if they start having to FAQ every codex individually, you get back to the old days where every codex literally had like 0 to 2 of this unit, 0 to 1 of this unit, 1 of this unit.
I need to buy chapter approved to check every unit update for the army because I can't just look at my codex and it tells me what I need to know.
Yeah.
Smite, everybody now knows that Smite gets added 1 to. They didn't just come out and go Imperial Guard players.
Can't take more than 1 primary psychic.
What I'm saying is they didn't come out and go, right, well, Space Marine Librarians don't abuse Smite, so we can leave them with the multiple casting Smite. What other armies? Well,
there was more armies that did, that was the problem.
That's what I mean, but
more armies did abuse it than didn't, whereas with this rule you've got more armies that don't abuse it than do.
But is the quantity important? If there
are people out there who are abusing it. There's loads of armies that abuse it.
Go on.
Tyranids, Custodes.
Demons.
Tau. I've just listed 4 off for you straight away.
Demons don't really abuse it because they have something better to abuse. Maybe under Magnus. I'll tell you.
Guard did. It's 5.
So the GTR...
so Chaos did before the Smite buff spam. They were really the Chaos of the primary psychers.
Yeah.
So Smite spam dealt with that. Because they were running it for Smite spam, not to have...
But what we're trying to say is that was an addition rule change which nerfed multiple armies. So this would be an addition rule change which would limit multiple armies.
No, limit all armies. That's what it's not. Limit multiple armies. It limit all armies.
Like Smite limited all armies. I could have taken a Space Marine army.
But not all armies need to be limited.
I could have quite easily taken a Space Marine army to spam Smite, but what I can't now because of the way Smite has been nerfed. Not the way that Space Marines have been nerfed. If they'd have... I get where you're coming from.
You don't need to limit every army in that way. You only need to limit a certain few armies of your HQ choices.
But then what you do is...
then why is it fair that them armies are limited and other armies aren't?
At the moment, I'd say the 1 instance with the commander suit is the more fair way of going about it. If you suddenly choose 6 instances out of 12 codexes, then that to me feels really unfair on those 6 codexes.
Oh, sorry, we made your Custode guy on bike too powerful, you can only run 1. Sorry, we made your Hive Tyrant is quite good, and we've noticed that quite a few Tyranny players are playing a few, so you can only take 1. Your Tau Commander, you can only take 1.
But Space Marine
Captain, Fine, run an army is Space Marine captains.
We're going to let Chaos keep all their Demon Princes because they've got Morty and Magnus.
So if they only penalise 3 codexes, for example, the other 7 will get bounced to.
You end up with a million people chasing the meta then. Whenever the latest ban hammer is from Games Workshop, everyone just abandons ship on that and goes to the
So
next
you might
one.
get that person who likes to play with his 10 big HQ characters running around board, that might be his play style, then goes and buys 10 Demon Princes. And just goes, okay, Tau got nerfed, I'll do it with Demon Princes. Or Demon Princes got nerfed, I'll do it this way. Whereas if you brought this rule in, you'd kind of be like, well, that sucks, that's how I kind of like to play. I can still do it. I can still do it, but I have to bring some other units. So rather than having the 10 commanders, I have to go down to 7, but I've got some other troops.
And I don't want to sound like...
So he can still play with his commander heavy army, he's just got to bring some other units.
It's like, I don't want to sound like we're attacking you personally.
No, you're just bringing the counter defensive to this. You know, you're
it's not an argument or anything, it's a debate.
And you need, if we all sat here and all agreed with each other, then
What would be the point?
what would be the point?
It's an interesting one. It's just it feels like this is the start of is Games Workshop going to start cherry picking what is and isn't considered abusive, and then as a result create a constant chase meta for everyone who wants to play.
But none of us play tournaments, so I'm now being hit for the tournament scene, and I have done nothing wrong.
We've constantly been hit by the tournament. That's what happens with tournament scene.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I've been beat out of the group of us.
done anything wrong. That was our best army at the time.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, out of the group of 6 of us, I've gone, oh, I want to go play Tau. Oh, wait, I can't now use that restriction. None of you guys have that restriction. No. None of you, we haven't all sat here and gone, oh, well, they've made us only take 1 commander. But we can get around that if we change his army list slightly, and it's made no difference. We've just literally said, if they made that beta rule that we're discussing now, none of his armies would have been penalised, really, and it'd have been me sat here going, oh, I want to take more than 1 commander, but I can't really do that now, I've got to add some Fireblades.
I'm trying to think of it across the board, because it's like...
So here's the thing. So across the board, fine. If you introduce like that, your homunculus army, for example, gets penalised right now.
By the way.
But then at the same time, that's the same moment where Brett's Tau get penalised. It's the same moment where my guard, for example, might get penalised if I was running a certain list.
The tyrant player gets penalised.
All at once.
But then can we go back to this tournament player that Brett discussed, who now has had his entire gameplay penalised and probably no longer wants to play in the hobby anymore. He wants to run HQ.
But Games Workshop have just literally done what you're saying to him personally.
No, he hasn't, because he follows the meta and goes onto another army. Yours doesn't let him go into another army.
But this is
so then he goes onto another army. Then Games Workshop go, "Ooh, God!" A lot of people have, all the Tau players have moved from playing commanders to demons. You can only play 1 demon prince. Does that feel great for him, who's just bought a Tau army that they nerfed, then a demon army that they've just slammed on?
And my point, Kyle, is that if they do it that way, where they do it 1 unit at a time, 1 unit at a time, 1 unit at a time. Okay,
I'm not saying we should do it 1 unit at a time necessarily. I'm just saying I don't see how.
For example, because if that's what they're going to start doing,
it penalises armies which don't need to be penalised.
Yeah, but you're not penalising. What you're doing is just changing how the game plays. Because this without changing how the game plays as a whole, what happens is Brett gets hit now. He personally and his army, because of the tournament meta, he's now left with
2 options.
He's left with an awkward army build that is a pain for him. 6 months later, the meta's moved on from Tau, and everyone's now playing Chaos Demons and lots of Demon Princes. Then they hit the same wall on Demon Princes. Now I get penalised and I'm left in the dust with a painful army build.
I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just saying we should.
Then 6 months later, Joel gets hit by it with shield captains on bikes, for example. And what happens there is that tournament player isn't bothered because he went, I like playing big things, so I played all Tau commanders, then they banned it, so I just moved to all demons, then they banned it, so I moved to all shield captains. He's not bothered because he's jumping from one to the next to the next to the next. What's happening though is Brett, then me, then Joel are left with a permanent hiatus issue because we want to play what we want to play as opposed to playing what's good.
Thing is,
if it all hits at once,
to get banned.
Thing is though, like Smite nerfed a lot of people's playstyles.
Yeah, made Brimstone horrors pointless.
And in the long run, no one's bothered. Everyone who was fussed because that was how they played has moved on to playing something else.
No.
And if they did that with commanders, everybody would suffer, but that will just be how the game goes. You wouldn't see that many of that type of HQ.
Yeah, you're abusing it. Stop it, pack it in.
And we're going to stop any future abuse from any future kill rexes or anything that we're going to do.
So I think we've more or less exhausted everything on it. And
well, we need a final verdict on it, I think.
I don't think rules were.
Yeah.
You know, we'll go around the table and we'll just say what.
Well, no, because the table started 3 against 1.
Well, it depends how good of a convincer you are, Kyle.
Yeah, but isn't that what a discussion is about? You can change someone's point of view, and if you don't,
I think though talking it all through, I've come to the conclusion where I don't think there's a straight answer.
No,
I don't think there
yeah,
is.
that's what I mean.
I hate to sit on the fence on it, but I think that's where I have to be with it.
Have I changed your view a bit?
Yeah, because I can see how it's going to affect lots of different people in lots of different ways, and I don't know without seeing it in action whether it would be the right course of action in the long run. I think there's merit to it, and I'd like to see it tried, which is why I think, for example, if this became a beta rule, this might be the first beta rule that doesn't make it into print. It's played for a while, and the community decide they don't like it, and then Games Workshop doesn't implement it. I think at the moment there's perhaps a little misconception that a beta rule means it's already a rule, and it's going to be.
There's beta rules already in a minute, isn't there?
Well, yeah. Technically, the Smite rules. It's until it's printed in chapter approved in 2018. It's technically still beta. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing anywhere that says it's official.
Is it not in the new chapter approved?
No, because
So
everyone
after
expected.
that?
Yeah, everyone expected a Smite debuff in chapter
Oh
approved,
yeah,
and it wasn't there.
And then they threw it out like a week later.
Yeah. So, technically, that's still floating around as a to be decided, but everyone's pretty much liking that much that they're already taking it as gospel. You know, perhaps this could be an example of a beta rule that gets tested and the community at large don't like it, and it doesn't get implemented. I'm not sure. I think I'd like to see it. I'd say definitely leave us comments below and let us know your opinions on it, because I think there's going to be a good divide. Maybe, even if some of you want to try this as a beta rule in your own playgroups and let us know how it goes.
So you're on the fence of
undecided. I think it's worth trying. I want to see it put into practice.
This only came up today, so it's like the very first sort of rough draft of the idea. But yeah, Joe, what's your opinion on that?
I think it's right. No, I do agree with the ruling, to be honest. I just think it's very unimaginative running spam. I know it's something a lot of people do, but I just think it does add a lot more diversity to lists. I don't think one army should get the hit. I think all of them should. I mean, we brought up other armies that can spam. And I mean, I know tournament and friendly play is 2 different worlds. I understand that, but I just think maybe trying it, like you guys said, in your own playgroups, make your own opinion of it. Tell us what you think, but my opinion is that it is correct. I think they should implement it, but you know, the tournament scene dictates what the rules will be. So how it plays with them will dictate to us how they rule it. You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
I'm glad you've just touched on that with the tournament scene, you know, because what you tend to find in the tournament scene is tournament organisers put restrictions on, not Games Workshop.
Oh yeah, totally, yeah.
Well, the Smite beta rule is a prime example of that. Technically, tournament organisers do not have to apply that. It's up to them whether to include it in their event pack.
Yeah, and they could have done that with a towel, but my opinion is, I think it, not just because I'm a player, even if it was any other army, I would think it was unfair that any particular army has had one hate. This is the first time we've seen this type of restriction put out across any army, and it's not been put across any other army. It kind of feels unfair. I feel something needs to be done against spam. I think this is a good idea that was come up with. Might not be right, people may agree or disagree, but I think it's something better than just hating on one army.
Yeah, I don't agree with one army should get the hit. It's not
you know, we have named multiple other armies, like I said, that can quite easily spam just equally as a good unit, and they haven't had any restriction. Not even a murmur in the wind that they could ever sort of have a restriction on that. So yes, it feels very unfair and
It feels very targeted.
very targeted. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, the ban was coming down to
I've
you.
been punished as a Tau player because other Tau players.
As opposed to anyone spamming Smite is punished because everyone spammed Spite.
Because everyone's spam.
Yeah.
But that's because not everyone is a Tau army. Like,
I won't even mind what Tau get and gas smite.
yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Kyle, what's your verdict?
I can see why you're wanting it. I still fall on the side of, I personally think a blanket rule. My issue with it isn't, like, I actually agree with you that I think it's unfair of targeted one army.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. I don't think it's fair that casual Tau players or even tournament Tau players get effectively punished because people spammed a commander.
Told what army you can and can't play.
So I don't think that's fair if that's how you want to word it. But what I also don't think is fair, and what this rule that you're putting forward overlooks, is the fact that a lot of armies that can't spam are still going to be punished. And effectively, what you're doing is, rather than telling one army what you can and can't play, or rather than trying to tell the armies which can spam that you can't spam, you're just telling a blanket argument across the board of this is how you build an army, you can only have one of these. It comes down to you might take 2. You might take 2 just because that runs better, but you were never going to take 19, but now you've been punished because you wanted 2 and you can't take 2 of that one thing. You
Whereas
just want 2 of something and someone says no, you can only have 1, and it's like, but I only wanted 2, I didn't want 19. Yeah, but these guys over here, they take 19 and 7 and 10, and it's silly. Yeah, but I take 2. Yeah, but blanket rule, it's fair, innit? No, I wanted 2. Well,
Yeah, but
blanket rule.
that's the point. It's fair, it's just not...
It's not fair.
It's not what you want.
It's not fair on that basis. It's fair in the sense of you doing it to everyone, but there's no need to do it to everyone. That's my argument.
Do it to everybody or nobody. That's my opinion.
That's
literally where that's where my final opinion is going to be on this stance. Do it to everybody or do it to nobody.
And I agree with that. All or none. It's... I couldn't tell you which which one should be implemented. And I think that's where it needs to be tested by the community. But I think my crux with the issue is targeting one unit.
I think I fall under it should just be none. That's my argument. My argument is it shouldn't be all.
But between all or nothing, you're on the side of nothing. Whereas I feel like it should. I feel very much like it should be all, but I don't know what that all rule needs to be.
But I don't see why it should be. I think my argument is I don't see why it shouldn't be all, because if you want to spam, just let people spam. It's not like they're all winning tournaments that much anyway. I just don't think it should be there. I think you should just let people run the list they want to run.
Well, we'll leave it there and we'll move on. So, that actually got quite away from us there, guys. It turned out to be a far deeper debate than we were anticipating it to be. So, I would definitely be very interested to hear your guys' opinions and hear more from the community. You know, we've talked ourselves around in circles. We can't even decide, you know.
I can.
So definitely let us know your thoughts on whether or not HQ units should be limited to 1 per detachment. So as the main topic went extra long tonight, we're just going to jump all the way through to new releases and discuss basically the one new thing that has come up this month, and that is the announcement of the Forgebane box set.
I think it's cool.
I think it looks mint. I like the fact that I've got a Space Marine on it.
Yeah, it's nice.
I think it's cool that they're doing 2 different armies that wouldn't really get in. Well, it is an intro box and it isn't an intro box.
It's like basically Dark Imperium 2.0.
Like a battle set in it, do you know what I mean? I think it's cool that it's not a bloody Space
I like how
Marine
it's
release.
Xenos technology versus Imperium technology.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I like it. And I like the fact that, as much as I'm not a huge fan of Knights personally, I do like the fact that we've expanded that.
Warglaives.
Yeah.
Warglaives do look cool.
There's assault weapons as well, so you can advance.
Yeah, you can move 14 advance and melt someone's face. So movement 14, Brett.
Movement, that's 2 less than like a wave serpent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
But it's
meant
like-
to be a light unit, they're actually meant to be like a scouting type.
They're
like,
a scouting knight. We can move, advance,
That's
and melt
very
you.
fast. That's very, very
So
fast.
you can roll like a 6,
Go 20 inches.
go 20 inches, and then get within melter range of 35 inches.
Yeah, you can.
One of the key differences between it and a normal knight, or pretty much any Lord of War, is it does get tagged by combat. It can't just back off and fire.
Yeah, because it's more of a lighter vehicle. It can get.
Yeah, it's not Titanic enough to be able to just back out.
If I ever take an Imperium army, they're my Lord of War. Here you go, three very quick knights. Toughness 7 with 12 wounds.
Nice, good start line.
Now,
Actually, they're on par. They're as easy to kill as like a Rhino then.
they're basically a Redemptor Dreadnought. Tough for 7 with like 12 wounds and a 3-up save. They're basically a Redemptor Dreadnought.
I think I just love the background of them as well. They're scouts. That's their aim. Their whole aim is to scout ahead of a knight and kill anything that can kill a knight. That's why we have a 30-inch melter, because we go ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum.
Yeah,
Oh no, there's a Vanquisher! Gone!
Yeah, they're like a hunter-killer unit, aren't they?
That's the whole point. The whole point is the hunt.
Well, I think this is going to be the
Plus
start.
piloted by peasants.
But I think this is going to be the start of a new breed of like unit category. So, remember years back when they first introduced things like the Baneblade as a plastic kit?
Yeah.
And they introduced like the Stomper, all the rest of it. And it was things like, oh look, they're moving into Titanic things for Apocalypse. Great, cool, we can now play that from regular old Games Workshop.
Yeah.
Then they went, we're going to bring that down one step, and we're going to have very big fancy things across like all the armies. So we introduced things like the Wraith Knight, the Storm Surge. And it's like, okay, these are the Titan-esque scale things. And then we've been sort of creeping towards stuff like, the Demon Primarchs and Lords of War, which makes sense narratively, but realistically, they're just an oversized Demon Prince. They're not quite a Titan sort of thing. And now the Warglaives are showing up and they're scaling it down again. It's the fact that they're now saying you can now take more than one in one slot for a Lord of War.
Yeah.
Now, do you know how the Orc Gorknaut, or Morknaut, has always sort of sat in a weird middle ground where it feels slightly bigger and more intimidating than things like a Riptide, but it's not quite big enough and intimidating to be an Imperial Knight. It's sort of this weird little middle
But
ground.
it is for a Warglaive.
But yeah, I think like a Gorkanaut feels like it's very on par to a Warglaive. And I could almost see, for example, like in the new Orc Codex, I would not be surprised if they made Gork and Morkanauts a Lord of War, but you could take 3 per slot.
Yeah.
And because they're mini stompers, they're not quite the size of a stomper. They were always one step slightly smaller than like the Wraith Knight, and like in scale, gameplay, and potential like points. But distinctly more than just getting a Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And I think you're almost going to start seeing this weird little middle ground of...
I think we'll do it to existing units.
No, but the Gorknauts are not the
mean,
only thing I could think of, really, that fits that description, but that we might start seeing things. There's a few, like, 4-year-old things that kind of fit that category. So, for example, the Relic Contemptors, things like the Custode Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts, like... They're probably the same sort of scale as the Warglaives and the Gorkanaut, and they're like, look, it's a big imposing thing, but it's just not quite Titan-y, like mini Titan.
No, the Relic Contemptor Dreadnoughts as well are really, really good.
And like for example with Necrons, have you ever seen the Centipede like Canoptic Tomb Guardian from Forge World? I think it's the Tomb Sentinel. That's something which I would see as being on scale with like the Warglaives, where it's, look, this thing is clearly a big imposing thing, more so than your typical 40k unit.
Yeah.
But it's not quite Titan scale, and you might be able to take 2 or 3 Tomb Sentinels.
It doesn't have to be a big imposing thing more than a unit, it has to be a big imposing thing more than a heavy support unit.
Well,
because your big imposing thing more than a unit is your heavy support in it.
I think then... a perfect example then, actually, the Necromonolith.
Make it Lord of War, one only.
I could see them making the Monolith a Lord of War where you take 3 in a slot, like the Warglaive. Because my main reasoning, as far as I'm aware, the Necromonolith is the only non-Lord of War unit that has the Titanic keyword.
Yes, it does. I've got the Titanic.
We don't know though if the new Necron Codex is going to do that.
We don't know for definite. But like currently in the index, it has the Titanic one, which has.
As in we don't know if it's going to make it Lord of War.
Oh yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Oh yeah.
Because it's coming out soonish. That's what
and,
they might be
you
doing.
know, the Necrons are the other half of the Forgebane box set.
Yes, but it's not the
Yeah.
Tesseract. So yes, I could see 3 monoliths being one Lord of War slot.
Yeah, that's the point. Yes, actually, because the Tesseract Vault is the Lord of War for Necrons, and that thing is like huge. It's like 2/3 again the monolith.
Yeah.
But
So
what is the
then they'd
Necron
have
heavy
the mon-
supports?
What do you mean, normal heavy supports?
Heavy destroyer.
Heavy destroyers, Doomsday Ark, monolith.
You have quite a lot. So.
The Tesla Destructor. They have got a range of heavy supports.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I bet I wouldn't be
what-
surprised if that's what they do actually, man. If a Lord of War, your monolith, but they make it so you can set 3, and then you can
Yeah,
run
but
because
yeah.
then you can run the
Yes, it's
then you
got-
can run the Tesseract as a big Lord of War.
Yeah, a Tesseract Vault escorted by 2 monoliths.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a world of difference
No,
to
no.
an Imperial Knight being escorted by 2 monoliths.
No, exactly. That's what I reckon. That's what they'll do.
Yeah, the Forgebane box set looks cool. It looks like
It does look really
The
good.
Cryptek looks sick.
Yeah.
the Cryptek with, as they've named it, the Canoptic Cape, which apparently allows it, basically gives him fly in like a 14-inch move. So he can just
cool.
fly around healing stuff and being where he needs to be. And
Yeah, like-
well, it probably won't be it'll be like the way that you have a Chaos Sorcerer with jump pack as a unit entry.
Oh, a Frost Hero bike, yeah.
Yeah, with a Cryptek with Canoptic Cape. And one of the things apparently that they've said they're doing with the new Necrons is they're going to be increasing the mobility of the army because
Yeah, they're a bit slow sometimes.
yeah,
aren't they?
especially in the way 8th edition works, where movement is important.
Yeah, no, but have you
What, so
seen?
they need to shoot and be really, really quick?
Not really.
Not quick,
move.
but just the ability to get around the battlefield. You've seen my Necrons play. Apart from the command barge, literally go, we're here.
Yeah, but that's why we brought in. That's why we brought in that.
They don't do anything else, do they? They don't go anywhere.
They just stand. They just stand and go.
What do you
"Fuck."
expect? They're just... Right.
That's
What
not-
are you like waking up out of bed in the morning? Imagine waking up out of bed after like 10 millennia.
You guys,
Yeah, I wouldn't be in the battlefield. I'd be there going 5 more millennia, 5 more millennia.
Hillary.
Snooze.
That time we were on his way to
Snooze on the doomsday clock.
No.
The Cryptek with Canoptic Cake looks amazing, and I want it. I want it so much. But yeah, so do we reckon any of us will actually be picking up Forgebane?
I won't, but I
Yes.
think you and Lewis
You
will
and
need to
Lewis.
split.
Yeah, like
What? Do you mean the Admech player and the
Necron
Necron player might go house on the new box?
Well,
Who would have thunk it?
the one thing I want to get a better look at this set is whether or not they're snap fits or whether they're literally the sprues. Because, for example, the Necron box, they show it in every built-up image as the Lich Guard and Immortals, but those 2 sprues, when they come in the boxes, can be built as either Lich Guard or Praetorians, or Deathmarks or Immortals. So, like, if I can get Deathmarks out of that box, I'll have it, but I don't need more Immortals.
Ah, I see what you mean.
Okay.
They'll be snap fit.
Yeah, that's the thing I don't
It'll be
know.
like the primary side.
I don't need Lich Guard.
Madison.
I don't want Lich Guard.
Just get them. Stop knowing.
Yes, and also stop pretending like you're not going to get them.
If you're interested in the new Forgebane set, definitely pick it up. It looks really nice. The Warglaves look like they're going to be a nice addition to any Admech or Imperial Force. The Cryptek with Canoptic Cape is going to be just so nice having a Necron. I mean, I really hope they release a few more models with the new Necron release. Like maybe some more characters with the capes. Who knows? So guys, this has been episode 9 of the Vox Chatter Podcast. Thank you guys for joining us again and listening to the show. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to get a like or help spread the word and share it with your friends and local hobby group. It really does help support the show. As always, be sure to leave your comments below and let us know your thoughts on whether or not HQ units should be limited to 1 per detachment. If you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, be sure to include them, as we're always looking for great ideas to discuss on the show. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss an episode, and you can also follow me on Twitter @CountHillary for hobby news and daily shenanigans. I've been Captain Hillary. I've been joined tonight by Brett Smith,
Good night, everybody.
Kyle Knox,
It's good night from me.
and Joel Collins.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening, guys, and we will see you next time.